Hello! So we are driving from Kelso in Scotland to Dunbar in Scotland, and I'm just leaving my holiday house, which is a beautiful old house just down at the Scottish borders in a little town called Kelso, and we rented out for short, week-long holiday lets during the summer, and then in the winter, now that it's come into November, we are just using it ourselves. So where do I start? Yeah, I'm going to drive. The drive is about an hour long, and I'm hoping it stays fairly light. It should do for most of the journey. And I've been asking you what you'd like me to talk about for an hour-long vlog, and you guys are coming with me to keep me awake, so thank you very much for that. And the reason I'm driving is because I'm heading back home to pick up our daughter, who had her first day at work today. She's got a new part-time job, her first job. So we've been down here already for a night, and I'm driving back to Dunbar to pick her up and a few other things for some DIY jobs, and then heading back. So the first question, Heidi had asked, how do you connect to your spirit guides? Which is a great question. And it's definitely a challenging question to answer. So where do I start? I feel there's a few underlying principles or beliefs or knowings that really help me. The first is that this is a free will universe, and for me that means that no one can help you unless you ask for help. And our spirit guides, I believe, their kind of oath that they sign up to is that they can only help you when you ask for help. They can only give you messages when you ask for messages. And I just want to hold space for that. It is really, really beautiful. And I can just imagine that in a world where there wasn't free will, or when free will is violated, that you just just have unsolicited messages all the time. But I feel like a lot of people get frustrated that they can't hear the spirit guides, why they feel they can't hear their spirit guides. And I think that's the next really interesting aspect is, so my first tip number one is to ask your spirit guides to talk to you. And it sounds really simple, and it is really simple. So literally say it out loud. You could take 3 deep breaths. And say, guides, what messages do you have for me today for the highest good, love and compassion? And then just listen. Listen with your whole being. Listen with your eyes closed to every part of your human, of your soul, of your highest self, of every part of you. And it's the listening, it's the receiving that is the most beautiful aspect of learning how to talk to your guides. And the message I was just getting there, and I heard it, for me, I hear it in my heart, and it feels like right in the center of my heart chakra. And it's like a little quiet, soft voice. And I heard love you, and we're always with you. And I just want to hold space for that beautiful message. Thank you, guides. And this takes practice. And I feel like some of the theory about why it takes practice is because our guides aren't physically in this 3D reality. We are. We're the souls inside a human form. And so, just admiring the beautiful autumn colors. Yeah, and I feel like what we have to do is really listen in ways that we're not used to listening normally. So we often listen with our ears, with our body, like the vibrations of sound, like if there's like a big heavy bass speaker or loud music, or in a car and you hear, like, you feel the vibrations. But to be able to get to us through space and time, through like the fifth dimension or higher, that voice from our guides and from other entities that we talk to is really quiet, and it's really subtle, and so it takes practice. For me, my journey was meditating every day and asking my guides every day. And I have one of my free daily guided meditations, and you'll see links to those probably on this video, and definitely on all of my song videos, like in the YouTube description. You'll see that I ask my guides for a message, and then I listen with an open heart. And as I receive the message, I start speaking. Now, our minds, I feel that our minds are confused initially when we hear this, like, hear your guides talking to you, because what happens is it feels like other things that aren't like the main voice in your mind, the main narrative that's going on. So it feels a bit like maybe my subconscious or my imagination, or a thought that is just a bit different, but is me. And so if you just start talking, if you start speaking out loud what's coming through, I find that's a really good practice. Now, there's a few reasons as well why it can really help. So if you think about why our guides spend a lot of time and effort trying to talk to us when we ask, like when you ask for a message, they're bringing in this message from a very high dimension, and it's coming down through your crown chakra, and it's coming down into your high heart and your heart chakra. For me, this is my experience. And it's still at that stage, it is in thought form and in energy form, and it is not yet manifested into this 3D reality. I feel that like our energy, our emotions, they sit somewhere just outside of 3D, like in 4D or 3.5D. But the energy does sit within the 3D reality and converting, so we can convert it, like our human form, we can think of a thought, and then our bodies, like we can talk, right? Just like I am right now. So as you're receiving a message, just start talking and just say the thing that comes through. Now, you might find that you believe that some of what you're saying is your thoughts, and that's absolutely okay. You might literally just think, as you're starting to do it, that you're just sitting there meditating with your eyes closed after taking a few breaths and doing your routine, and you're literally just speaking out loud the first thing that's coming to your mind. And that's exactly what it is. It's the first thing that's coming in, and you're just saying it out loud. And I do feel that there's, like, you know how you sometimes hear hypnotists talking about, just let this car pass me, the locals here can drive much faster on these roads than I can, or want to, and especially as it's so wet. So yeah, I feel like hypnotists often talk about like going deeper or going under, and they're kind of like levels of hypnosis. And I feel a bit like the deeper you go, the more connected you are with your guides, the less of your 3D self, the less of your mind is in the message and in the process. And like the deeper you go into the connection with your guides, the more you're able to just let go, to surrender, and to let that message channel through you, which is really beautiful. So for those that feel stuck, that if you feel like, why does everyone else's guide speak to them and not you? Well, it's a great practice every day, just a few minutes, just like 5-minute meditation, including a minute or two just talking to your guides, and ask them for a message and practice. And it's like an infinity loop. The more you ask and then speak it out loud, and the more you say it, the more your guides can they get that you're trying your hardest. You're like, I want to speak the message. I want to speak out loud what you're telling me. And they'll also be able to work with you to attune their communication to you. So for instance, if perhaps you don't listen to your heart chakra, maybe you're listening directly through your crown chakra, and in which case they may attune, and with your higher self, like your highest version of yourself, attune the communication directly to that chakra. And it can take time. It can take weeks. For me, my journey is about 900 times doing this. Like I did daily meditations first thing every morning to get lyrics for a song. So I'd ask my guides for lyrics, and I wasn't, to begin with, my primary objective wasn't to just be someone that can talk to their guides. For me, it was all about getting the messages. And I think you've got to really focus on what your intention is. So, and your guides will help you with that intention. So my guides helped me with my intention of giving me lyrics every day. And I found that incredibly powerful practice, because it allowed me to eventually, and the reason I talk about 900, like around that number, it literally took me that many songs before I know that my guides and my higher self and Source and Gaia and any entity that I choose to connect with and set the intention to connect with are going to talk to me, and I'm going to receive their message, and I'm going to take that message and turn it into a song. Any other tips I can think of? I gave up alcohol before I started really meditating. I think for the first maybe few weeks, I was still drinking like on and off, and I found that like I loved whiskey, and I'd always have this like foggy brain like first thing in the morning, and so it just, my experience was that I'm not saying you can't talk to your guides if you drink alcohol, but from my experience, I found it much harder, and I'd always get a hangover, always, no matter how much I drank. So that was one tip, like make sure you're in a fit kind of mental state and clear mental state. And then, yeah, and the other thing is like, just don't give in to the frustration, and talk. Words have magic. So don't say, I can't speak to my guides. Like, that's, never say that. Say, I'm on a journey to continue to improve the strength of the communication between me and my guides. And now, I guess forward wind to today, I feel much more comfortable every day. I do feel like it varies a bit. Like, I feel like some days I feel like there's more of me in the message, if that makes sense, or maybe more of my egoic mind is sometimes in a message from my guides, from my songs. But I'm also getting I get kind of like previews. So before the meditation now, before I ask, they often start to show me things. And another really interesting thing about the communication is that it's not just words. It's not just some entity or energy giving you words. When I think back to the early stages, a lot of it was about energy, it was about shapes, it was about colors, and they weren't super detailed. They were more just like, I'd see a kind of like circular kind of cloud, or like with my eyes closed, and just see a shape or a color, and that was really cool, because it was kind of confirmation. I was like, whoa, I'm asking for something, and I can see with my eyes closed something, and also emotion. You know, when we hear other humans talk, we can sense their emotion. We're used to listening to tone and pitch and volume and all those dimensions, and so I feel like the process of talking to our guides is much more like telepathic, and with that we're able to get much more dimensions of communication. So for me, I often feel the love. Like if my guides, like earlier, if they say love to me, like I literally feel the love they're giving me, and that feeling, and it's like they can communicate a feeling. So they can make, for me in that communication, they can make me feel that love, and that's such a beautiful gift. I feel like these are things we can do for others as well. And finally, forward wind to now, I won't really talk about channeling much, so I've got a lot to cover, and only about another 40 minutes. But yeah, channeling is a kind of similar process. I guess when you talk to your guides, it is a form of channeling. However, I do feel that our guides are much closer to us, and some guides can be like versions of us, or incarnations of us. They can be like you call it, like soul family, like souls that continually reincarnate with you through multiple lifetimes, and their energy and their signature is really closely connected. And you can also ask your guides, I could talk about this forever, you could ask your guides for their names. Now, don't be disappointed or frustrated if you can't really make out their name. And I'd suggest you definitely keep asking. I kept asking my guides, and quite early on, one guide stepped forward, and she's much less active now, but to begin with, and her name was Maya, and she would appear to me like this kind of this female woman. I think she had like blonde hair, and just this really beautiful, loving soul, and very, very motherly. And she described herself as being like a soul fragment, or like a soul twin with Gaia, with Mother Earth. And that was really incredible, because I was like, the name's really similar, and she had this very earthly, like 3D aspect, and I loved, like, mentally it wasn't hard for me to connect with her, because she was a woman in like a human form, and and her energy was like very similar to of this planet. So that was really helpful. And I knew that after a while, she was really relaying messages from my other guides. Like she would be the voice of many, and that was really magical. And after I went through my own period of being frustrated, like I continually asked my guides for, I wanted to see them all, I wanted to meet them all. And that was a big thing for me. I knew I was talking to them, but I wanted to see them all. And eventually it was all in the right time, at the right vibration. And what happened was, just slowing down behind a tractor. I don't really want to overtake. But yeah, what I found was this right time and right vibration was when I was out in Canada. I think I was out in Vancouver, and I was in my hotel room after a morning run, and I asked my guides to turn up, to say hello. And literally in the meditation, I could, with my eyes closed, I could see them appear in the room around me in a lineup, and then they'll introduce themselves. And and I was like you know, the lineups to do for press photography and stuff on like movie premieres and stuff, and that's exactly what it was like. It was really funny. And so I got to like meet them and shake their hands. And some people describe when like you talk to your guides or talk to any entity, like try and connect with what their face looks like what does their energy look like. And that's really, really helpful, because it becomes much more of a signature. Like what you're looking for when you're connecting is really things like their name and their face, the signatures. It's a bit like their DNA signatures, their energy signature. And so if your guide or any entity gives you a name, then it's a huge honor, because their name, you can summon them using their name, and you're calling them, you're connecting in with them to get their name, and that is like super beautiful. So yeah, that's it. I think I could keep going, and I'm sure there'll be a chance for another video. I'm just going to see. Oh, I can't see around this corner. Yeah, for another video. So on to the next question, and this one was from the beautiful soul Chakra Bunny, and she was asking what makes jonbinnie's soul sing. And so for me, I think it's a great question, because I often wonder myself, like I was wondering that this morning, it's like, why do I write songs every day, and why do I sing every day, and what is it about that process, like the singing, like what is it that fills my heart with joy? I guess I'm thinking of all the dimensions of this. Let's see. So first of all, if I talk about my soul origins, from what I've received really through meditations and also confirmed by other sessions I've done with other people, is that when my soul first was born, I was like this elemental energy that floated through the universe. And as I floated through the universe, I was singing. And it was kind of like a high kind of pitch singing. I guess some people call it like my high notes, like when I'm singing falsetto, like whoo. And I would, as my soul would fly through the universe, as this elemental energy, I guess, like this angelic energy, I would seek out like nurseries, like soul and star nurseries, where there would be the opportunity for me to, yeah, we go past the tractor. The opportunity for me to help, and what I'd do is that I would like fly down towards a nebula where these souls are being born, and I would assist in a soul entering like the core of a star. So if a soul was being born into a star, I would like sing and bring in this vibration, this high vibration activation, and it was all about being able to like help transition the soul into that form, like into a planet or a star or into a human form or any form, any galactic form. And so it's the singing that my soul loves. And as I went through my last big awakening in November 2017, hey, it's November now, so 5 years ago, if I do my maths, when I went through that awakening, in fact, it's around about this time of the month as well. It could be, for all I know, it could be 5 years today. That'd be so magical. And yeah, I went to my awakening, and in that process, it was in a Kundalini yoga session, and I just kept meditating every day after it, because I was so amazed about what I saw. And I saw in that meditation planets and stars being born. It's sending like energy shivers up and down my spine. It's beautiful. Just thinking about this. So that was really cool, and I kept meditating, and it wasn't long, like 2 or 3 weeks, and I realized that what I was doing had significant meaning in my life. And I was starting to record songs most weekends, and this was just a bit before I started writing a song every day. And so I was creating songs at weekends. I was like, well, I have a home studio, I love singing, why do I want to do this? I need to have like a mission. Like, I don't want to just do this to be famous or to make lots of money, or like those things still don't appeal to me. What came straight through for me, and I just asked my guides, like, what's my mission? What should my mission be? And I heard very clearly, raising the vibrations of billions of hearts. And so 5 years ago, that statement was true, and it's true today. And that's what makes my soul sing, is being able to raise vibrations of billions of hearts. And why is it? Why raise the vibrations? It's a very broad mission. And so that the mission simply is to help rebalance darkness and light. And in this planet, we are way over we are way over, like, dominated by the darkness still, and this is changing, and it's because we're raising our vibration, so that like the scales are tipping back to being balanced between the two. And that's super beautiful, because I know that I am helping activate the hearts of billions of souls. And yes, I absolutely love music, and I want to keep focusing on music as being like my primary practice. It is my meditation, it is my expression. And when I create a song, when I'm looking at the camera, and I hope this comes through, I hope you feel it too, is I like encode my lyrics and my notes with the love I feel for every living thing. And I want, without exception, and I want every living thing to raise its vibrations. And yet that means even like the darkest darkness in this planet, because together we are all one, and together we all need to raise our vibrations, and raising our vibrations will help us. Now, of course it's a choice. It's a free will universe, and you don't need to listen to my music, and you don't need to raise your vibrations. That's also fine. But for those that are seeking it, and I feel like many are seeking it now in this planet at this time, that every song, every note, every lyric I create every day to raise your vibrations. So that's what makes my soul sing. And sometimes I'm blessed, very blessed, with hearing and feeling how it feels for you. And sometimes, so every view, comment, like, share, just knowing you're there, listening, all these things really, really fill my heart with such joy. And I never knew in this journey that this would be so powerful, like even more powerful than algorithms and views and likes and followers and whatever else. It's so much more powerful than that is the love I feel from you, when like a reflection. So when I send out this love and it's like received by your heart, and then you just like put it back out there into the universe, like you're thanking me, it just feels like this beautiful infinity loop where like I genuinely feel it. I feel it in my heart every day. And the only times that I struggle in my life are when I deny that that's happening, when I allow myself to succumb to the fear of, giving my power away to algorithms and, metrics like the numbers of followers, when actually it's the amount of love and raising vibrations that I'm here for. It's going to take us a while to measure that, but we can feel it. Okay, on to the next topic. So Sheila was asking, now I might be getting the question wrong, but I got the theme right, I know. So she was asking about how do I, and hey Sheila, how do I do my healing? She'd like to learn more about my healing process. So I guess let me try and start with a quick explanation of how I got into healing, or as you often hear me call it, a range of things, which is darkness clearing, entity removal, soul retrieval, energy healing, gift activation, connecting you with your guides, past life regression. It goes on, and it's all, I guess, it's all a whole load of mix of labels. And what I do want to say is that I've never been trained in anything to do with energy work or healing. And the closest I've had will be things like I'm a member of a couple of spiritual groups, and we'll go on we'll do kind of classes together where you go off together and you go on a mission somewhere and go do something together. And I guess that's there's so, when you think about actually the teaching, I feel like I'm constantly being taught by many different people and many different energies and entities. So you won't hear me talk about labels really, or qualifications, or traditional kind of psychic or metaphysical capabilities. So I'll try and explain it. In my story, it was about a year and a half ago, so probably just over a year and a half ago, I had a session, and I think this session is online, it's public on YouTube. I had a beautiful session with the amazing soul, Jenny from Starseed Academy, and she was giving me a reading, and she said, "Oh, Mother Gaia's got a mission for you." I said, "Oh, great!" I was like, "That sounds fantastic." And she said, "So, if you'd like to hear more about the mission," and I was like, "Yeah," I was like, "I accept. What's the mission?" And she said, "So you're going to." A lot of it was about being a divine masculine, and a divine masculine assisting in clearing darkness and healing people. And I was given very, very little detail, which I love. And so the little detail was, we see you holding up your hands like this, and like channeling through this gift of this like golden light, and it's this golden light from source, and you're going to connect with others and help others with it, with this light. And just I'm saying this, like the sun is like, the sunset's coming out, it's all going golden, which is so beautiful. Hope you can see on the camera. And as I was like, "Oh, is that it?" And she's like, "Yeah, that's it. So just like practice on friends and just keep going with it." And of course I was a bit like, "Oh, what about my music?" Like my ego was like, "Oh, my music, I do all this stuff with music. Like, how am I going to fit in time to do this? And how's like, do I have to like not stop doing music or something?" Here's the golden light, golden light. You have got to love the universe, right? And it's also 3:44, or my clock says 1544 in 24-hour clock. So, of course we're going to get surrounded by golden light as we drive. So I started practicing, and in fact, Chakra Bunny was one of the first people that I practiced with, and we just started doing a guided meditation together, and then I just started sending her healing energy, and I went through like what just came to me, and I'd have to go back and figure out the session or dig out the recording, but it was very much like just about sending energy and clearing and healing. Not super specific, and I don't think there was any channeling in it. So I just kept doing this, and it's really funny because I did not know what it was I was learning, and it's such a powerful lesson for me because I'm always so like scientific with everything I do. Everything has to be like, set such a clear intention and have a clear plan every day and be incredibly structured. And this journey has been the opposite for me. And still to this day, I don't know the gifts that I'm developing. I don't have a specific intention to develop a specific gift. I feel like every step is just a beautiful journey to create, developing more psychic gifts. And so what if I forward wind to now and try and answer Sheila's question? Oh, this is such a beautiful area, this part. I don't know if you'll see much of it. And there's a rainbow straight ahead, and there's two rainbows straight ahead, and this beautiful golden light. Wow, thank you, universe. Fast forward to today. So when I connect with, in a session with someone, with a client, I create a golden bubble around me, first of all, and I set the intention that only energies and entities with my permission, highest good love and compassion, can see me or access me or exist within my bubble or within me. I also do a bit of clearing. And then I do the same, like I create a bubble around my client, and then I create a big bubble, around both of us. And into that bubble, I also set that intention for only energies and entities with our permission. And then I invite in my client's guides, the higher self, Source and Gaia, and same with me also. And it's a very real-time experience for me. I feel like I then go into conversation, so I ask one of the guides to step forwards. And I must admit, after doing 70 plus, I don't really know how many sessions I've done. Luckily, I've recorded almost all of them, so I do know about 2/3 of privates at the client's request. But yeah, I do know that when the guides first come forwards, you get like a whole mix of things. This rainbow is so beautiful. It's so bright. It's a big double rainbow. And so sometimes they come through as energies, or sometimes come through as like a humanoid form. Sometimes they're hiding, sometimes they're blocked, which is really fascinating. Especially given the first part of this video talking about how you talk to them. But they're sometimes like they're hiding behind like a protective layer because of the work I'm about to do. And it's really funny because you think, oh, why do these guides who are like from my client, like they're all super powerful beings, like why do they need my help? And it's because of my human, right? And because the client is in a human form also. And they just need, I can see this rainbow touching the ground. That's incredible. It's so close. It's almost like I can see, it's almost like a circular rainbow. So yeah, when I start the healing process, sometimes the guides are like, they literally point like with their arm out, and I just see it in my third eye. They're pointing out to me and they're saying, energy scan, like do the energy scan straight away and then we'll talk. And sometimes they'll have like a chat first, and it's all, you know, it's all in divine timing. It's all messages that will make sense for both. Sometimes it's to help me understand, and it's also for the client. And so the actual healing itself, the first thing I do is I always favor an approach of bringing in that energy that allows me to tap into source energy and then just direct that source energy through me. Because if I give my energy directly, like it's much more limited and it's exhausting. It will just, you know, I could like sleep for a day if I try and heal someone with just my energy. And so it's all about setting the intention. As well as a free will universe, it's definitely a universe of intentions. And so I set the intention, and I say this out loud, I'll set the intention to bring down a column of light from source light from the highest dimension of source, and I'll bring it down in my two hands to just above my client's head. And I set the intention to say, this light column is here to clear, to heal, to assist with any messages and activate any gifts. And then I say my client's name. And then I just start bringing down that light. And as I'm bringing it down, I feel like, it's funny, in some respects it feels a bit like, you know, like submarines have like a periscope going up and down. And it feels like I'm lowering it down, and I bring it down onto the crown chakra. And then I'm maybe a bit like how a dolphin uses like echo sound. Like I'm interacting with the light. I can see, because I'm bringing this light down onto the person, onto their chakra, I can see them like the light interacting with their chakra. So you're very much like shining an energy. You're shining a light onto this aspect of the person, and that is super beautiful. Because yeah, for me, I just feel like I'm getting much more interaction, and I just talk to the client, just tell them what I can see. Like my last client, I could see like their chakra was like flattened, their crown chakra was flattened, which I'd never seen before. But I must admit, almost every session has something I've never seen before. and I was trying to understand. I was asking their guides, you know, what's this? Like, and it turned out that they've been wearing like a helmet, and it's like this like 5D helmet. There's this rainbow again. I can see it. Like I can almost reach out and touch it. It's just incredible. Right into the ground. So that's really beautiful. I just, if I'm not sure, I ask for guidance. I ask for help from the guides. Sometimes, in fact, quite often, I'll be shown something in a higher chakra, like one of the upper chakras, like the crown chakra, and then the answer is left. I have a question, but the answer is sometimes, look, you're going to learn about this in a bit. You're going to learn about this shortly. So that's really cool. And so when it comes to, let's say we work our way down to the heart chakra, and we want to do some healing. So first of all, because I'm shining this huge light, this column of light down from source all the way down into the person, it's not taking me really much energy to do this. I'm consulting, just saying what I'm seeing. I'm the witness, I'm the observer. And let's say we get to heart chakra, and there's I'll be shining the light, and I often get shown a chakra, especially the heart chakra, as this big engine. It's like this big powerhouse of someone. And then in the chakra, I'll see like colors, lots of different colors, not just the green that you might expect to see. And what I do is I then work through helping the person feel. I describe what I'm seeing to them and just hold a bit of space for it and listen and feel into it. And if there's any entities there, like I'm also setting the intention. So in my head, I'll be saying, okay, set the intention to find any energies or entities that need clearing. Now, it takes a lot of practice to clear entities and energies. And so please don't just watch this video and then go and try it. But if you do want to learn more about it, then feel free to contact me. But if I can describe at a high level how the process works for me now, after many, many sessions of learning on the job, has been that I will, first of all, identify the entity. So if it's a small worm or like a leech, like an energy leech, I'll see where it is. I can see in my third eye where in the chakra it is. Quite often in the heart chakra, they sit just around the bottom of the circle of the chakra. And I will just pay a little bit of attention to it, try and get a feeling of what it's there, why it's there. The vast majority of the time, they're attached to a wound. So the client has an open wound in their heart chakra, and the wound is let's say they have, some sort of fear, or they have something that they've never forgiven with someone else. And so what happens is the attachment comes on, it sees the wound, it's like a moth to a flame, to a light, it attaches on, and then once it's attached, it starts to feed. It needs the negative energy. And so what it does is, let's say you're scared of something, I don't know, let's say you had a fear of rainbows. And so every time, what it want to do is, the entity would be like, go outside. It would be like poking your wound, go outside, and because you're gonna see rainbows. And you're like, I don't want to go outside, and it'd be like, great. And it would feel the fear you have for rainbows. Or you might just be thinking about oh, I don't want to go outside, I'm scared of rainbows. If that was I'm not scared of rainbows, I love rainbows. if that was the fear. And so the entity is just feeding off it. And so the more it can trigger you, the more it can feed, the larger it can get. But quite often they're quite small. And if you think about those moments when you just, maybe you kind of snap at someone, or you just like, it's just like a one-off trigger moment for you, that's like, that feels like a much smaller attachment. It's like, its power is limited. So anyway, to remove it, I bring in my light sword. So it's like a light weapon, but it's also like a tool. And this light sword I bring in, and I call it forwards. I say, sword, be with me. And for me, it looks like Excalibur, and it lightly is Excalibur. And then with the sword, I can like make the sword really small or like really huge. And so I'll kind of right size it, and then I'll just gently reach in and I'll cut away. So if it's like a leech, I'll like cut away at its head first. And then I'm holding this entity in my light body hands. And then to the left of me, I ask Archangel Michael, please remove this entity and return to source. And so he does. And sometimes it's a bit of conversation. Sometimes the entity will say something. Sometimes these entities, yes, they are performing a very, dark, negative role. They've actually done it for very beautiful, like, sacrificial reasons, such as sometimes they're helping us slow our development for divine timing, so that you develop your gifts at exactly the right time. Sometimes we've invited them, like we've given our consent. And I can only remove an entity if it does not have the consent of the client, and the client gives me consent to remove it. And it's also really interesting, like if a client does not give me consent, I literally can't see or do anything. I mean, that's not entirely true. Like I can see a bit, but I can't really do anything. And I think that's really beautiful, because I wouldn't want to do anything they didn't want me to do. And often if it's really big, like if I think it's going to be like if it's a huge entity, and sometimes they're like bigger than the person, like snakes and dragons and demonic entities of all shapes and sizes. And so sometimes it's like I have to be really careful, and I'll take more time and hold more space and learn more about the entity and why it's there and the effect it's been having on the person. And I would say like 99% of the time, people just want rid of it. Like they do not like the idea of having other energies and entities influence them. And the actual healing, so if I'm healing a heart, so let's say I've removed a big entity, the next thing I'll do is really feel into what is the damage, like what healing is required for this heart. And so what I'll do is I'll bring down this energy through this column of light from source, and I'll set the intention. I say it out loud. I say, okay, now I'm going to heal your heart chakra. If I need some help, I'll ask in Archangel Raphael, and he's just this beautiful angel of healing, and he'll like step in next to me and help me. And he will interact with me in so many different ways. Like he will sometimes place his hand on mine, or he'll work like in parallel to me and send them energy as I'm sending energy. And so I then bring in source light from above me, like I'm connected in source above, and I bring it through me. So I'm starting this channel, and I allow it to flow through my heart. And I imagine in my mind that this golden light flows through my hands and flows through my heart at the same time. And it comes out of me and flows directly into the chakra of my client. Sometimes I'm just doing this without making noise, so I'm just pushing the energy through. And then sometimes I also use my voice at the same time, and I'll make the om sound, so like om. So, and that's it. After doing this once, I'll get a feeling for like how much did it help, what's needed next, and then usually it's more than once, like once or twice or 3 times. I'll repeat this until and each time adjust the energy to and because you're healing, and then you're observing and seeing like, okay, how much has this helped? What needs to be next? Maybe the first time I use my voice, the second time I might choose not to. The guides are often, the client's guides and my guides and angels, like we're often working as a team, so we're sat with each other watching like what's required next in the next wave of healing energy. And then finally, once the healing's done, and before I move on to another chakra, I will also share like any practices, any meditation advice I can give. And I will also, if required, like create like a protective layer around the chakra, because usually like a big investment of energy and a big change to the chakra takes days to fully integrate. And so I say this to my client, I say, oh, you're going to need like a few days just to allow this to absorb and integrate. So what I'd like you to do is to just allow that energy to integrate. I'm going to create often like a golden layer around the chakra, and I'll do that, repeat that same practice I just did by sending the energy from source, and this time like imagine this golden layer around the outside, and I make it very clear to the clients that they can choose to remove this. I set the intention that this layer around, this protective layer around the chakra is only there for as long as they require it, or choose to have it there. And so if they choose to remove it, that's also fine. And what else? We're almost home. We're almost at an hour. Oh, I've got so much to discuss. It's so much fun answering your questions. So yeah, I'll set up that healing, and I'll often leave. I imagine in my mind, I imagine this energy like just continuing to flow from source, and it's the client's receiving it at the right amount for them at any given time. So it's like kind of real time, always adjusting to what they need, and that the expectation is over the coming days that it will start to dissipate, that the client doesn't need that energy. And it is infinite, this love from source, but I feel like the only real limitation is the client's ability to receive. And just like we go through like these big energy roller coasters all the time, and we're upgrading our DNA, like it's a lot for us to take on board. And so it makes sense to have these things all in divine timing and to have them at the right time for you. And so that's definitely a thing, is enough of like the healing that the client requires at that time, but not too much for them that it overwhelms them and exhausts them, ironically. And yeah, I guess there's lots of other healings as well, ways of healing chakras. Often I work with guides. I'll work with the client's guides. Sometimes they'll step in and help specifically. I also have a very active guide called Emin Shal, and he is a lion, like a male lion, and he has this golden light. Like he was my teacher in a previous life of how to use this golden light, and that was really spectacular because sometimes I need his help. Sometimes I'll also speak light language, some quite often Lyran, but it can be like a dragon light language and energy. Sometimes when removing entities, I need to first, like, before I can use my sword, I need to like blast away like a cloud, an energy cloud. I'm just staring at these clouds here. They're really beautiful ahead of me, like big golden clouds. And yeah, and I often find myself with like dragon light language, just like this roar. It's like blasting out this fire, and I can see this fire blasting out of my heart to my throat chakras, and I'll be like, boo, yeah, like blasting away. So that's really fun. And what else? Yeah, I feel like it's just a real honor to be able to help and to be able to assist people in their healing where they haven't been able to assist themselves yet. And it's really funny. I hear some healers just explain that they don't feel that they heal their clients, that it's their clients that heal themselves. And I do feel there's some truth to that. I feel it's a partnership. I feel like the tools like my light sword and source and our guides and our angels, like they're not me, but I do use my abilities, my psychic gifts, to be able to bring through these tools, these energies for healing. So yeah, I feel like we all have our own part to play, and that's a super beautiful experience. I am almost at my home in Dunbar, but I do have a little bit of time, and so what I will do is just pull up and probably keep talking. So yeah, that was the healing question answered, I think, or at least some of it. And yeah, in summary, I do want to add, I find it easy to describe my journey. I find it harder to explain to people how I heal. And I feel it's because for me it's been a really incremental journey. And because it's incremental, I guess perhaps I find it hard to acknowledge all aspects of me, of life. I'm just making sure I'm about to reverse into my garden wall. Yeah, all the aspects of my gifts. Like I haven't yet, like fully, I don't yet fully understand all the dimensions of my abilities. And so, but this video has been super helpful because it's been great. I'm realizing that I have developed some practices. So that's really cool. I'm going to take you with me inside, which would be fun. I've just got a couple of things to take in with me. So if you step this way. And I've got a few things to pick up. And one thing I have to drop off is toothpaste. It's my life is so rock and roll. It's really funny, like just being here by myself. It's still a bit of time until my daughter comes back, and here we are. Yeah, so that was the healing part. And another subscriber asked me about I have 14% left. Yeah, another subscriber asked me about the like grounding and like root chakra healing and grounding into the earth. Hey, why don't we do it just now? That'd be super fun. It's really wet outside as well. So yeah, grounding is really, really important. And after, it's a perfect segue, right? So after I've done a clearing session, I always try and ground. And why do I do that? It's because like our human form, I just take my socks off. Our human form really needs to like ground into this earth, because when we're just so focused on like the astral realms and like we're what do we call it? Like in the land of the woo-woo, we're like our minds and our psychic gifts are like connecting us up like so high into these high vibrations, and it can cause us to feel quite dizzy, especially while our bodies are still quite lower frequency. Like we're not at the same vibration as our guides yet, and so when you disconnect from that, like I often feel like at the end of a session, I feel drained, but less so each time. Less so, I'm getting better and better at like channeling the energy through me and filling my cup before I give. And then the other aspect is I'm learning to ground afterwards. And in our old house, I had this. Oh, look at my hat! I had this beautiful tree that I would go and place my hand on, and it's funny. I can feel the energy on my hand when I was doing that. But we still talk because I still run past the tree every morning, and like I'd like high five it because it like hangs over the boundary of my old house, so I can like touch it as I go by. And yeah, grounding into the earth is really important. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go outside just now, ground, and when I do, I've got bare feet. Sorry for the feet shot, if you don't like feet. And the most important thing is to like set the intention. So when you go there to ground, and there's lots of different ways you can do it. Like you can, there's not a plant in here, but you can like just touch a leaf of a plant inside. You can go outside. It's best to like go out barefoot if you can. And some people also really benefit from like sitting with your ass on the grass. So like sit down and like connect your root chakra like directly into the ground. Now it's too wet for me to do that, but I will go and get my feet wet. So set the intention, and I just imagine like all this energy in me, in my whole body, that is kind of like a bit kind of scrambled and a bit like flowing around the place. And I just say to Gaia, it's just like, I send all this energy to you, and I imagine all flowing, like dropping through me, dropping through my feet. So let's do it now. Let's go outside. Ah, it's cold. So here we go. Wow, that is beautiful. And so, yeah, I think you can catch a little bit of the sky behind me. The camera's not showing it super well, but yeah, you can just ground, and I'm just going to send in this energy, all of my excess energy that no longer serves me, sending it down into Gaia. And there we go. It's as simple as that. Now we don't have any trees here yet, but I did plant some seeds from the tree that I used to use all the time. So I will go up and like touch plants and just say hello. And if you can, like reach through and just touch their trunks, their branches. Hello, beautiful soul. You're huge. It's so big, this bush. And that's how I connect. Sometimes, like I did see in a couple of client sessions, that there'd be like a blockage, and so the client couldn't connect into the ground. And I did spend time like removing the blockage, and that would be quite cool, because sometimes it was like people just feel a bit guilty, or they don't really want to share their shame or their negative entities or energies with Mother Earth. Like it's like your mother. It's like but it's like think of like all the other things we do. You know, where do animals go to poop? Like they go to poop on Earth, and why? Because well, they don't. Many don't have a lot of choice, but this cycle of life, like when we take all the things that no longer serve us and put them back into the earth, Gaia transmutes them. So she feeds off these energies, these entities, and it's like compost to her. And she like transmutes them, and then like it comes back, doesn't it? It comes back up into all these beautiful, you know, plants and trees and every living thing in this planet. And that's really beautiful. And so I always encourage clients, it's like, hey, when you're grounding, um, like see it like you're feeding Gaia. Like you're not just like, oh, here's all my trash and I'm burying it underground. Like say, here I am, and I'm sharing, you know, um, my waste, my energy waste, and I want you to transmute it. And so I set that intention. And yeah, to do it often. If you can ground every day, ground every day. If you can't ground, think about like practicing your meditation. Like the second thing I do, I connect to source, and then I ground into Gaia, and I send the energy down, and I send my love down, and I send any energy and entities that don't serve me. So that's like a very kind of astral way of doing it. And then thinking about nature, walking in nature, touching plants, touching trees. Sometimes if I'm feeling a bit self-conscious, I might be walking my dog and he pees on everything. So as he stops, I'll just like put my hand on a tree and be like, oh yeah, here's like this was a tree. I'm like, oh, I'm just resting against this tree. And I'm like, and actually what I'm doing is I'm releasing all this energy down through the tree. With its permission, of course. Yeah, that's it. So we've been going an hour and 10 minutes, and I really need to drink some water. And I also need to pick up some things. I do a little bit of tidying around here, and see my daughter who's had her first day at work. And then we're going to drive back down to Kelso, and it's fireworks night here, so we're going to see the fireworks display back at Kelso. Of course, I'd love to give you a long vlog on the way back, but I need to talk to my daughter. I need to be human and be a good father. But it's been amazing talking to you, and I hope you enjoy this. And I feel so blessed that finally I've got fast internet, or fast for where we are in Scotland, to be able to upload things like an hour and 50-minute video without waiting for years. So yeah, that's it. That's me, and I hope you have a beautiful day, beautiful weekend, a beautiful week ahead. And if you have any more questions, any topics you'd like me to cover, just let me know. And I just want to say a massive thank you to everyone that's submitted questions, for everyone that supports me on a daily basis. And I want to thank you for all your love and your kindness and your support and helping me grow on my journey. Like, you're doing it. Like, I am the reflection of your love. I am the reflection of all that you give me. And I want to keep giving to you every day as a thank you, to sending you my love every day. So that's it. I'm going to stop now, and I look forward to the next one. If you want me to cover other topics, please put them in the comments. Thank you. Sending love from Scotland. I love you.